Hello, my name's Mark Dorey and welcome to another exciting encounter in Jesus, where I invite you to put aside what you know or what you think you know about Jesus and join me afresh as we go through Mark's Gospel. And last time we looked at Jesus proclaiming himself as a bridegroom and to fill our hearts with new wine and out with the old and in with the new. And if you've missed that one, there's a link in the description below. But as always, if you are enjoying this channel, why not like, subscribe and click the bell, and you'll never miss another episode. Well, today we're going to be looking at two incidences with Jesus picking corn on the Sabbath and healing someone on the Sabbath. So we're going to go from Mark chapter 2 verse 23 to Mark chapter 3 verse 6. So we're doing two little sections which are going to come up on the screen. I'm using the New Living Translation, but you can follow along in whatever translation you wish. So we're looking at Mark chapter 2 from verse 23 on. One Sabbath day, as Jesus was walking through some grain fields, his disciples began breaking off heads of grain to eat. But the Pharisees said to Jesus, "Look, why are they breaking the law by harvesting grain on the Sabbath?" Jesus said to them, "Haven't you ever read in the scriptures what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He went into the house of God during the days when Abiathar was high priest, and broke the law by eating the sacred loaves of bread that only the priests are allowed to eat. He also gave some to his companions." Then Jesus said to them, "The Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not for people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath." Jesus went into a synagogue again and noticed a man there with a deformed hand. Since it was the Sabbath, Jesus' enemies watched him closely. If he healed the man's hand, they planned to accuse him of working on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and stand in front of everyone." Then he turned to his critics and asked, "Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day for doing evil? Is this a day to save life or to destroy it?" But they wouldn't answer him. He looked around at them angrily and was deeply saddened by their hard hearts. Then he said to the man, "Hold out your hand." So the man held out his hand, and it was restored. At once the Pharisees went away and met with the supporters of Herod to plot how to kill Jesus. So here we've got two instances of Jesus breaking the Sabbath law. The thing is, when I was a child a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, everything was closed on the Sunday. You know, I'm from the capital city of Wales, in Cardiff in Wales, and on a Sunday morning or Sunday, everything was closed. Only little corner shops were open and garages, and only the essential services like the emergency services, the police, ambulances, fire, etc., power stations, only those sort of businesses stayed open, but everything else was shut. The big shops definitely weren't open. But now today, we've got a 24/7 culture, where 7 days a week people can work and work as many hours as they want. You can go shopping on a Sunday, and there's no different to shopping in any other day of the week. If anything, it might even be more packed. And even if you can't go shopping, even if something is not 24 hours, you can go on the internet and you can buy things on the internet, or you can get services on the internet. And the thing is, in the Jewish law, there was a commandment of resting on the Sabbath. That no work should be done whatsoever on the Sabbath. And this was to meet our needs. This is so that everyone would get a day of rest. This is so that employers could not exploit their workers. You know, people could relax. They could spend time with their families. They could look at doing non-work things, focus on non-work things, and they could praise God. They could worship God. And God had called the Jews into a sacred relationship with him. So he said, don't work on the Sabbath. And yet the Pharisees, they took these 10 commandments and they added loads of extra things, and they defined almost everything as work. I don't think you could walk more than 100 yards, because that was defined as work. And basically what they did, they took away the spirit of what God meant the Sabbath was for. The Pharisees were really legislating on the Sabbath to a point where you couldn't really do anything. And Jesus is really pointing out that the Sabbath was made for us. It was made for us to rest from our labours. But it was never at the expense of human need. If someone was sick or dying, you wouldn't say, "Oh, well, I'm lying down in my hammock now because it's the Sabbath." You would help them, whether it's helping someone who is sick or picking corn to eat as you're traveling to a field. The Pharisees were talking about harvesting. They weren't harvesting. They were actually just picking some corn to eat. And actually in the Jewish law, the farmers were commanded to leave strips of land around the edges of their fields where people could help themselves. So Jesus goes into this synagogue and everything falls deathly silent. They fall deathly silent because he's there, he's teaching in the synagogue, and then he sees this man with a shriveled hand, and he says, "Well, is it right? Is it right to do good on the Sabbath? Is it right to heal on the Sabbath?" And there's a deadly silence, and the Pharisees are looking on intently. And then Jesus calls the man forward, and he's got this shriveled hand, and he says, "Stretch forth your hand," and it's instantly healed. Now, I'm not sure about the rest of the place, but the Pharisees weren't happy at all. In fact, they started plotting to kill Jesus. I think the man was overjoyed. I think the rest of the congregation might have been overjoyed unless they were under the hard stare of the Pharisees. But the thing is, for me, the Sabbath, in Jewish times, the Sabbath, and even today, is on a Saturday. But a Sabbath Day of Rest can be any time, really. In Wales, it tends to be the Sunday, really, where we take a day off if we're going to take a day off. And I remember before becoming a Christian, I was doing my PhD in the university, and oftentimes I'd be working 7 days a week, and I was absolutely exhausted. When I became a Christian, it was fab. It didn't matter where I was in my studies or my research. I'd just stop and I wouldn't do anything on the Sabbath. On the Sunday, I wouldn't do anything. I would really look forward to not even have to think about my PhD, because sometimes you're just mental processing so many things about work. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do this. The Sabbath is supposed to free you from that. It's supposed to give you a day of rest. So for me, it was fab. 27 years on, and me and my wife are running a church plant, and we're thinking a little bit more about running the church plant on a Sunday. But even so, it's important not to get too busy, or even if we are busy on a Sunday, to take another day off, because 7 days a week, working 7 days a week, it's going to cause burnout. In Genesis, it says God worked 6 days, and he said the seventh day is holy. God didn't really need to rest. He's God. He's infinite power. But for us who work, it's important for us to restore our batteries, recharge our batteries, to build our relationships with our families, with our friends, with God himself, to just build and just be. There's a Sabbath stop day. The Sabbath is almost like a stop day where we can work 6 days a week, but on the Sabbath, whenever the Sabbath is, could be a Wednesday or a Thursday or Sunday, Saturday, whatever, we don't even think about work, and we just relax and we enjoy ourselves. Imagine if you took a Sabbath stop day How liberating would that be? How refreshed would you feel? I remember it was such a blessing for me not to do my PhD on a Sunday. And then, on a Monday morning then, it was back to it, but that was fine. It was fine. There's a book I read a couple of years ago, I lent it to someone now, and it's called 24/6, 24/6. It's not 24/7, by Dr. Matthew Sleeth. And he talks about the Sabbath, he talks about its significance, he talks about its benefits, and all these things, and it explored in great detail. So, as always, some points of reflection as we come to the end. What does your working week look like? And do you have a Sabbath in there somewhere? How liberating would it be to invest in a Sabbath stop day where work and even thinking about work is off limits? And how would a Sabbath stop day transform your week and your personal relationships? Jesus said that he is Lord of the Sabbath, and the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Jesus knew we needed rest. And all of this stuff is in my Encountering Jesus book, along with personal reflections, such as our personal accounts, like the man with the shriveled hand. I write about him being in the synagogue with the Pharisees and how Jesus heals and what he felt and all those things. This is all in the Encountering Jesus book. So as always, if you are enjoying these videos, why not like and subscribe and click the bell, and you'll never miss another episode. And I'll see you again over a cuppa.